Welcome to another episode of Football 24/7 with John McMullen, and I am your humble host, Tone DeShields II. You guys, as always, we're super grateful, super excited to be here with you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the content grow. It really helps us in the algorithm chase. Also, make sure you guys continue to comment below in the live chat. That helps as well. We love the engagement. And most importantly, make sure you guys are subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. And also, if you want more from John McMullen himself, if you're a reader, an avid reader of John McMullen, make sure you guys go check him out on jakibsports.com. That's JAKIB sports.com. He has a lot on there for you guys to consume. But let's get down to the nitty gritty, John. First and foremost, how are you?
Trying to cool off, man. It was brutal down there. And this, they tell me the first time they moved up practice an hour to try to beat the heat a little bit this morning. Now, the first time they did this, it was supposed to be 100 degrees. It was really hot.
Whoa.
Today was worse. I mean, today you could really feel it. I don't think it got up that high. Maybe it was the humidity, but it was a rough one. It was a rough day down there. Eagles won about 90, a little over 90 minutes in it. And, I think it showed up. I think it was kind of a sloppy practice, and understandably so, because the guys were dragging out there.
Yeah, it's interesting because these guys, they don't, they're not doing too much. They're not doing too much hitting at all. But this heat will take it out of you. And in Philadelphia, it's not like dry heat like the West Coast. It's humid. It's muggy. It's heavy. It weighs on you. You can step outside, take the trash out, and all of a sudden now you're drenched in sweat. So I totally understand, especially if these guys are in the NFL, during their thing. Completely understand. But I'm curious to know what you said the guys were dragging. So obviously that that translated to the production and translated to how these guys have been performing. But what are some of the observations that you've had today on day 9 of training camp?
I thought it was a pretty much an even day. The offense, there were 4 team periods. They started off backed up on their own goal line, and the offense was able to get a couple first downs. So that was a positive. I think overall probably it was pretty even. I'd give a slight edge to the defense. Davion Taylor had a big day again. He had a pass breakup. He had an interception. He chased down Jason Huntley, who's really fast. And, I can imagine how fast the linebacker is to kind of chase that guy down. Brandon Graham had a big day when it came to the pass rush. Still, a little bit of a positive sign. Jordan Mailata, Andre Dillard getting closer. They worked in limited fashion back from the concussions. But the big news came off the field, and that's Jason Kelce and having elbow surgery. So the Eagles called it a routine cleanup procedure. And I do expect him. I think everybody expects him back for week 1. Anybody who knows Jason Kelce knows he's going to try to get on the field. But that term routine, the only people who use the term routine surgery are people who aren't having surgery. Surgery's never routine to the people having it. So
right.
Anytime you got to have something done, it's not a positive. And Jason Kelce, here we are, August 9th.
The season starts on the 11th, September 11th.
September 11th, yeah. So 33 days. Jason Kelce plays through everything, so I think he's going to be out there. But
that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, is there concern that he can miss extended time beyond the season opener, because he still has that. He still holds that record, for how many games he's played consecutively. So I would hate for that to be broken over something routine.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be routine if it is broken. If it is routine, if it is just a clean out, if it is just a simple procedure, he's going to be out there. That's just the way Jason is. But I go back to Lane Johnson and his ankle surgery when he had a tightrope ankle surgery, and that was, not that serious a procedure. Um, Out for a little bit and came back, and it was not right. And then he had to shut him down. Then they had to have reconstructive ankle surgery. So, you know, just because you try to clean something out doesn't mean it's going to work. I think that's the bigger concern. This particular procedure, he's going to be out there week 1. The question is, how healthy is he going to be?
In your experience, I know you're not a doctor, right? But in your experience covering the game, hearing about injuries and hearing about routine cleanouts, that refers to scar tissue. That refers to scar tissue, I would assume, correct?
Yeah, well, for the most part. I mean, this is elbow. Normally, you hear that with knees. You don't see as much of it. In fact, I was looking at try to find some comparisons, examples. I had to go back to 2015 and Roddy White in Atlanta, who had what was described as clean out elbow surgery. And he had it in late August 20 something, and he was back by September 14th, which
Okay.
ironically was a game against the Eagles. So, but no surgery is the same. I mean,
Right.
Tone DeShields could have clean out elbow surgery, and your elbow is going to be different than what's going on with Jason Kelce. So
Right.
it's hard to compare. Other than I know Jason, and I I don't doubt he's going to be on the field week 1. The key to me is, will this procedure clean it up to the point he can get through the whole season? That to me is the bigger question.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking about as well. It's more so about the long haul, right? And
Yeah.
that from what I've been reading, they're preparing Cam Jurgens. He's been getting a lot of work today with the first team. And I'm curious to know, what was your evaluation of Cam Jurgens filling in for Jason Kelce with those
Well,
guys?
it's Jurgens, by the way. He he
Jurgens,
he he
Jurgens,
was joking
Jurgens,
around when he said Jurgens.
beef
Yeah,
jerky.
yeah. Cam's a bit of a jokester. Um, he, it's tough to tell. Training camp, you're not going
Yeah,
full speed, but Jason started camp out of the lineup because he had a recent bout with COVID as well. So Cam got first team reps there. Um, it's kind of a silver lining to, from that perspective, because you get a young rookie player a bunch of reps in the preseason. He's going to
quality
have a
reps at that.
Yeah, he's going to have a bunch of reps against Cleveland, against Miami, and joint practices. Um, so that part of it is only going to help him. And he's got talent, so we'll see how quickly he can get up to speed.
Yeah, Howie Roseman he continues to amaze me lately because he just seems to be ahead of the curve, and he truly understands the value of the trenches. He truly understands that your team is built from the inside out and not the outside in, and your team, you're only as good as your offensive line. And we all know Jason Kelce, most likely 9 times out of 10, this would be his last year playing professional football. And Howie Roseman made it a point to find his heir apparent. And that's something that can be undervalued. And having a guy that gets to be the understudy of a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion, and Jason Kelce, a Super Bowl champion. How invaluable is that for Cam Jurgens?
Well, number one, Jason joked he's had like 8 or 9 heir apparents now.
Well, he picked this one out this time.
Landon Dickerson was his heir apparent last year.
Right.
and things. That to me is the more interesting part. Like people were killing the Eagles for drafting Landon Dickerson last year, saying it was a luxury pick, a luxury pick. He's not even going to play. He's not even going to play. He's here to replace Jason Kelce. And all of a sudden,
B. Brooks goes down.
yeah, B. Brooks goes down. Then Isaac goes down. And all of a sudden, he's got to play. And he plays very well. And he plays so well at left guard, the Eagles don't want to move him now.
And once
So
again,
now they
Howard
have
looks
to
like a
get,
genius.
yeah. Now they have to go with get another luxury pick as the heir apparent. People were killing him. How could you take Cam Jurgens? Kobe Dean was there. They got Kobe Dean anyway. But how could you take Cam Jurgens? It's a luxury pick. He's not even going to play this year. And here we are, August 9th, and he might play. Unlikely, as I said, Jason Kelce is probably going to be back week 1, but you never know. You never know. Routine can turn into not so routine very quickly.
Absolutely. And, since we're on injuries, I'm curious to know what's going on with Devontae Smith. This is his 4th or 5th practice in a row that he's missed. And should fans be reasonably concerned?
No. Like if you have any issue whatsoever, if you wake up tomorrow, if you were a part of this team, Tone, and wake up tomorrow with a little tweak in your calf, they're going to shut you down. They're not going to practice. Especially if you are a key part of the team.
True.
Devontae, from day one that he missed practice, he's been on the field watching practice. That's a dead giveaway. It's not serious. If it's serious, they don't let you near the field. He's fine. Yeah, they're just being cautious with Devontae Smith.
So would the same go for guys like Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, Greg Ward, and guys like that? And I mean, I even read that LaRaven Clark went down, and that'd be the 3rd left tackle. So now we're down to the 4th left tackle.
LaRaven's been out for 2 practices now. He tweaked his hamstring, so they are down to their 4th left tackle. Although technically 5th because Brett Toth plays left tackle and he's on the PUP list. But
wow, okay.
Andre's getting closer. Jordan's getting closer. So hopefully, different one. I mean, Boston has a concussion, so you have to go through the protocol. Kenny just got hurt with probably at the link. Yeah, I think he was at the link. So I think a hip injury. There's a lot of groins. Kerry Vincent has a groin. Greg Ward has a toe. There were 12 people on the injury list today. Yeah, they're going to be cautious with everybody. Grant Calcaterra's been out for a while. Now, he's the one I wouldn't say concerned, but because he's a rookie that you'd like to get on the field, him missing practice is kind of a big deal, a bigger deal at least. So that one, he's been out for a while with a hamstring injury. That might affect him. John Hightower's got a groin now. Jimmy Moreland hurt his ankle. Saw that in practice. Jaquaski Tart's been out for personal reasons. So a lot of guys are out. And most of them have soft tissue injuries, which, the Eagles
are trying to avoid.
And boom. But they're being cautious is the bottom line.
Yeah,
if you're Devontae Smith, though, it's fine, right?
Right.
if you're trying to make this team like Grant, who has a hamstring, or Raven Clark, who has a hamstring, John Hightower, a groin, Kerry Benson, a groin, Kirk Wheatball, a hamstring, Greg Ward, a toe. I mean, those guys probably got to get back on the field as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are tuned into Football 24/7 with John McMullen. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. Make sure you guys are smashing that like button again. When you guys hit that like button, it really helps the content grow. It helps more people find the live streams. It helps more people subscribe to JAKIB Sports because the more of you guys that are supporting, the more spicy that live chat will become. And we know you guys love to give us all the grief in the world when we say things you don't like or disagree with. But you know what's coming from the heart, and we're going to give you that unbiased, straight down the middle, even kill observation and analysis. Make sure you guys are subscribed to JAKIB Sports and continue to comment below. So, John, I'm curious. We didn't really talk too much about Jalen Hurts thus far, and I want to try to transition into how his camp went today. From what I've been hearing, they tried. They did a lot of short yardage work today. Was that by design, or was Jalen just not able to find guys more than 20 yards down the field?
Well, that's been kind of pretty much entire. The Eagles haven't, for whatever reason, tried to stretch the field that much. They did it at Lincoln Financial Field. It was a 30-yard pass, but to A.J. Brown. They've done it a few times, but not a ton. When you're coming off the goal line, you're trying to work certain things. And, in that type of situation, when you're starting at your own 2-yard line, for instance, yeah, you can throw it deep, and it's usually going to be make sure it's on the outside and make sure it can't be intercepted. But if you're trying to flip the field, which most teams are trying to do, you want to get a first down or 2 first downs. And they were able to do that. You had a nice out to A.J. Brown, had a nice corner route to Dallas Goedert. So they were able to do it twice. So that's kind of a positive. But as far as the deep ball, we see it in individuals. We've seen A.J. Brown, we've seen Jalen Reagor, we've seen Devontae Smith when he was healthy. Not much in team drills to date.
Okay, so you brought up Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert is a player who, in my opinion, had one too many drops last year. He dropped them in key moments. One of the most notable drops was when he dropped it. It bounced off his back heel. Landon Collins intercepted it somehow.
That was a bad one. That was a bad one.
That was probably the most wacky thing I've ever seen in football. But I'm curious to know, how has he been in camp? We don't talk about him too much. How has he been as far as his hands? Has he had drops here and there? Has he had a case of the dropsies? Has he pretty much been clean and lights out all throughout and been Mr. Reliable? What's been your evaluation of Dallas Goedert, given the fact that they paid him last year? He's the tight end number 1. He's going to be one of the main feature guys on his offense.
Yeah, he's been the guy. He's got more targets than AJ. So it's been it's AJ and Dallas, but he's had one drop that I can recall. You're right. He dropped it a little bit too much. I think most of it wasn't like bad hands or anything. Most of it was he was trying to get upfield a little bit too quick. But
yeah, I agree.
I think more experience will sort of calm that down. He's a great player. In my preseason top 25 Eagles, number 1 was Dallas Goedert.
Oh, yeah, I know. I love that, by the way.
He's the best player they have. He really is. As far as, and again, when I did that list, it wasn't talking about importance of the position, just the best pure football player at his position. There's very few tight ends that are great receivers and great blockers. Dallas is a top 5 receiving tight end. He's a top 5 blocking tight end. And I think people are going to see how good he is this year. I think he's going to have a big season.
Yeah, I would agree. Being next to guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins with that top end speed, I got to be honest with you. There's no reason why 2 out of those 4 guys shouldn't be open on any given play. I just feel, of course, you're going to have those moments where they're just playing good defense, but I feel like most of the time you're going to see at least at minimum 1 or 2 of those guys open on any given play. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's been one of the positives. I mean, usually AJ and Dallas are open. I've talked about this a lot this week, in that I think people get lost in the sort of old school mentality of full field progressions. Like, you always hear Jalen Hurts has got to go to, he's got to be able to be Joe Montana. I'm like, that doesn't exist anymore. There are a few guys, Tom Brady, obviously Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, guys like that, who can still do it and go from, progression A on the right side all the way over to the other side of the field. But most NFL offenses today are college offenses. Football's kind of trickle up, not trickle down. And most are half field progressions. You have an A and a B, and maybe you have a C, which is, the safety valve receiver, which is typically, the back. So it's not really a progression. And for the Eagles, again, we've talked about this a lot. The targets that Dallas Goedert and AJ Brown have been getting are absurd in practice. AJ's 1, Dallas is 2, or Dallas is 1 and AJ's 2, whatever. And they're always open, which is a good thing. But, long term, Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen are going to have to be disciplined and make sure that Devontae Smith has his plays as the primary target, and even Quez Watkins, because no matter how good AJ is, how good Dallas is, if all you're doing is targeting those guys, defenses are going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out quickly.
It was like last year. All we were targeting was Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, and defenses started to key in on that.
Yeah. And so that's why you have to be disciplined as a play caller. Now, Jalen's going to get criticized for that. That's not Jalen's fault, because he's given those reads, the modern sort of NFL, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. And it's their responsibility as the play callers to make sure to get other people involved.
Yeah, moving the conversation forward, there are guys that, I really believe that, they can really help this offense really turn the page, guys that really round out the group. And, I've been thinking about Zach Pascal a lot lately. And I know Zach Pascal is not a number 3 option on his team, barely a number 4 option. I get all of that. But I'm curious to know, what's Zach Pascal's stock right now looking like? I heard he was participating in 7-on-7s, something like that. I know they're bringing him along slowly since the food poisoning, but you have a guy in Zach Pascal that I don't think people talk too much about the benefit of having a guy like that. He's a guy that's pretty physically imposing as well, a possession type of guy. So what's been your evaluation of Zach Pascal since he's been back?
Well, I mean, he lost 16 pounds. So
right, yeah.
He just came back. So, he's a favorite of the head coach, though. He's going to be here. I had this discussion a couple weeks ago, and I forget who brought it up, but it was a good point. Eagles fans should hope to see a lot of Zach Pascal, because the more he's on the field, the more likely they are to be winning. And if it's the fourth quarter and you're trying to run out the clock and you're in your 4-minute offense, Zach Pascal's going to be playing, not Quez Watkins. And for the people who get all hyped up about numbers and fantasy football, and, that's not necessarily conducive to winning games. If Quez is playing a lot, that might mean the Eagles are behind and they need to throw the football. And that's not where the Eagles want to be. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but Eagles fans should hope to see a lot of Zach Pascal this year. A lot.
Yeah, you know, I'm curious about other position battles that are going on. We mentioned the wide receiver position. Quez and Zach. They're going to be battling, of course. But I think those guys, like you said, are going to be used in various situations. If you take it further down the depth chart, Jalen Rager, Brenton Kobe, who, well, what I'm hearing, his stock just continues to rise, and a lot of people are starting to fall in love with this kid. But I'm just curious to know, what's been your thoughts on other position battles that have been going on outside of the wide receiver position.
Well, there are no position battles for starters. That's an interesting part. The ones we thought we were going to see haven't developed.
Like that right guard spot.
Right guard. Jack Driscoll, to my knowledge, has not even taken a rep at right guard. It's been all Isaac Sayamalo, and they put Jack as the backup to Lane Johnson. Safety, we talked about, is it going to be Marcus Epps or Anthony Harris, or who is Jaquaski Tart going to push? Neither. Not even, and Jaquaski's been out for a couple of days now for personal reasons. He was running on the third team. He's not pushing anybody.
Yeah.
That hasn't developed. N'Kobe Dean, a lot of people thought, my partner in the morning thought he was going to be a starter day one over TJ Everett. Not happening. Not happening. Hasn't manifested at all.
Shout out to the Mac man. Shout out to the Mac man.
Work Kaiser White. Not happening. Not ready yet. Maybe it happens down the road. A lot of people said Kenny Gainwell, Miles Sanders. Not happening. Miles is the lead back. Now, I would say, maybe that's, and I wrote about this week, and maybe that terminology is a little old fashioned, because while Miles is the lead back, Kenny's playing on third downs and hurry up and goal line. And those are the most high leverage situations. So they're very important. But he's not the starter. Miles Sanders is the starter. So, these position battles have not developed and come to the forefront. It's Isaac, it's TJ, it's Marcus Epps, and they have all emphatically slammed the door.
All right, so we're going to begin to close this show out. I have a two-part question for you. One question, but a two-parter. Who, in your opinion, has risen their stock and maybe also lowered their stock? And then based off of that, who gets your game ball today?
Well, Davion Taylor got my game ball. As I said, made a lot of plays, having a great summer overall. We'll see if he can stay healthy, if he can get in the mix. He's so athletic. He's so enticing as a linebacker. I think, it's funny to me because I think, people get all caught up in Georgia and Butkus Awards. The guy you should really be crossing your finger on is the Davion Taylor, because he's freakishly athletic for a linebacker. And if the light goes on for him, he could be the linebacker you think you have in other linebackers. In other words, he's the one with the athleticism to do it. If you talk about Devin, I'm talking about the Devin White type linebackers, the guys who go from sideline to sideline. He's the only one the Eagles have that could do that from an athleticism standpoint. But he was so raw when he got here. But he's really, really played well. So he won the game ball, and he's also a guy whose stock has risen. Isaac Sayamalo coming off the Liz Frank injury. He's been tremendous, and I would say his stock has risen, even though he's a veteran player. As far as who's gone in the opposite direction, I'll have to bring up Jack Driscoll, because not only was Jack expected to compete with Isaac, and by the way, it's not even his fault because he hasn't even got one rep, so they didn't want to go in that direction. But he hasn't performed well as a backup right tackle. So maybe, it's ironic. He was drafted as a right tackle, but he played better at right guard, and now they got him back at a right tackle who's playing poorly again. Maybe that's a misevaluation on the Eagles' standpoint. And then I guess we got to go with the quarterback. We always got to talk about the quarterback. Has he been better? Has he been worse? Has he been even? Probably a little bit better from movement standpoint, because he's sort of remade his body. Expected more with A.J. Brown out there from a passing perspective.
Yeah, completely understood. But, you guys have heard it here first. Look, at the end of the day, these Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to continue to try to get rid of the bad habits and try to pick up, better habits, pick up good habits. Jalen Hurts, remade his body, cut out certain things from his diet. He's taking care of himself a lot better. You have guys like Isaac Samalu, who's trending in the right direction, coming back from a Liz Frank injury, who's looking great on the offensive line. You have a guy like Davion Taylor, who continues to, improve and produce leaps and bounds. TJ Edwards, Kaiser White. Ultimately, you guys, your Philadelphia Eagles are in a favorable position from a personnel standpoint and from a development standpoint, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you guys should be excited. And we're going to have more content for you guys where we're going to be covering your team. We're going to be giving you guys plenty of content to chew on. And, we're going to continue to give you guys our unbiased, unfiltered, straight, no chaser opinions, and it's straight like that. You guys, you were locked in on Football 24/7 with John McMullen, and I am your humble host, Tone DeShields II. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Continue to comment below. And on top of that, make sure you guys check out more from John McMullen on JAKIBsports.com. That's JAKIB Sports.com. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, you guys, stay hungry and take care. See you next time.